All right, ready? Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And roll call.
Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Clausen.
Here.
Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Phipps.
Here.
Mayor Hall.
Here. Consent agenda. Items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. No separate discussion of these items will occur unless a council member requests the item to be removed from the consent agenda. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be considered elsewhere on the agenda for this meeting. Prior to asking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, the mayor will ask if anyone desires to remove an item from the consent agenda for public discussion. Would anybody on the council like to do that? Hearing none. I move the minutes of the special meeting and regular meeting of March 17th, 2026, and the bills and payroll the last half of March 2026, and council decision request 2026-2668, ratifying the reappointment of Joe Tillman to the Electrical Commission with a term of ending 4/30/2029 are approved. Can I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Commissioner Cox, and roll call.
Commissioner Butler.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Presentations, petitions, and communications. This portion of the city council meeting is reserved for persons who desire to address the council. The Illinois Open Meetings Act mandates that the city council may not take action on comments received on matters that have not been identified on this agenda, but the council may direct staff to address the topic or refer the matter for action on the agenda for another meeting. Persons addressing the council are requested to limit their presentations to 3 minutes and to avoid repetitious comments. We'd also ask you state your name and address for the record, as well as standing when speaking. Okay, I'm going to take care of any item other than the wake boat, which will come up after this. But does anybody want to address the council on anything other than wake boats here? Anybody else want to address? No other comments? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start with the wake boat review group. And Brian, who's going to do the presentation? You, Brian? Okay, so go ahead and come up to the mic and state your name and where you're from. There are people that are listening online, so that kind of flip that mic over towards you, and then we'll listen to what you got to say today.
All right, thank you. My name is Brian Laird. I live in Champaign and have a lake home on Lake Mattoon in Geauga. So, Mayor and City Council, thank you for the opportunity to advise you. I'm the co-chair of the Wake Boat Committee along with Nick White. As a reminder, a proposed ordinance prohibiting wake boats was submitted in September in response to the do not drink order affecting the city of Mattoon water supply. While the water treatment plant draws from Lake Paradise, concerns were raised about the potential for wake boats to negatively impact Lake Mattoon's water quality. At that time, the mayor requested the formation of a volunteer-led advisory committee to gather stakeholder perspectives and provide evidence-based recommendations regarding wake boat use, particularly as it relates to the water supply. Nick White and I were asked to co-chair the committee using names collected at this city council meeting and the city of Mattoon website. We assembled a small group of people representing a range of perspectives, one pro wake boat member, one neutral member, and one opposed. Committee members included Roger Walt, John Mars, Kathy Miller, who most of are in attendance tonight. Nick was neutral on the issue, and I personally own and operate a wake boat on Lake Mattoon. I'd like to thank all of the committee members for their time and their efforts. I'm speaking on their behalf tonight, and this presentation was shared with them in advance. To gather community input, we held 3 hour-long public listening sessions, 2 at the library and 1 at Lakeside Timbers RV Campground. I'd like to thank Carl from the library and Matt from Lakeside Timbers for hosting us. These sessions are promoted through the city website, marina, and social media. Across all the meetings, 9 community members spoke. Each either lived on the lake or owned or used a boat. For wake boats, 5 owned non-wake boats. Nearly all expressed concern about shoreline erosion and sediment accumulation contributing to long-term shallowing of the lake, particularly on public land, as many private property owners have already installed seawall or riprap. As expected, wakeboat owners generally opposed a full ban, but supported reasonable restrictions. Among non-wakeboat owners, opinions were a little more mixed. Some favored restrictions, while others supported a ban. Those favoring a ban primarily cited erosion concerns, with one also raising water quality and overall lake health. Several attendees also expressed interest in participating in future efforts, such as an erosion-focused committee, if City Council would approve. At our final meeting, Helen McFarland, superintendent of Mattoon Water Treatment Plant, provided a valuable background on water treatment processes, algae trends, and testing protocols and mitigation strategies. She did not offer an opinion on wakeboat use, but her insights were extremely helpful to us, and we thank her for her time and expertise. Turning to the second part of our charge, which is reviewing evidence, I will briefly summarize relevant research. By background, I hold a bachelor's of biology degree from the University of Illinois and a doctorate of pharmacy degree with training in research and evaluation, including authorship experience. While I am not an environmental science expert, I am confident in my abilities to assess scientific literature. There is limited research specifically on wakeboat impacts. With guidance from experts at the University of Illinois, we reviewed several studies, including a high-quality study from the University of Minnesota. The study examined a Minnesota lake, which may or may not be similar to Lake Mattoon. For example, that study lake has plants growing on the bottom and an average clarity of about 7 to 10 feet. Lake Mattoon doesn't have plants growing on that lake bed, except for in the very shallowest of shorelines, and typically the clarity is 1 to 3 feet. Another main lake of difference, the Minnesota plants in that lake die in winter, decay, and eventually become a really fine organic sediment. This can be different than Lake Mattoon, which most likely has more inorganic sediment from erosion and runoff than the organic sediment in Minnesota. So while the study differs in Lake Mattoon in some ways, the findings still provide useful context in this conversation. The goal of the study was to understand environmental impacts of boats, with the lake bed sediment resuspension potentially containing nutrients vital to algae growth being a key. The author tried to define the depth at which the use of a boat had no effect on the bottom of the lake. So briefly, there are 3 powerboat phenomena that affect that water column. There's a bow and stern wave. These are a downward and an upward force respectively, and they are the primary reason for movement of lake bed sediments, but they do not cause sustained sediment resuspension. Transverse waves, those are the waves that you can see directly behind the boat, perpendicular to the way the boat is traveling. These waves can resuspend sediment. There's also propeller wash, including exhaust bubbles. This contributes to resuspension of the sediment and shearing of vegetation or scalding the lake bottom. Importantly, the large divergent waves, the ones that are about 45 degrees from the boat and are used for wake surfing or wakeboarding, they were not found to affect the lake bottom or the water column, either one. The key findings of the study is that bow and stern pressure waves had the potential to disturb lake bed up to 20 feet deep. Essentially, they moved it around, did not resuspend it. Those transverse waves, at 15 feet, those waves were below the speed in which coarse silt would be resuspending anything on the bottom. Propeller wash and bubbles were not present at below 10 feet, and prop wash velocity was near 0 at 15 feet. The study also placed cameras at 14 feet in the water column, which showed resuspended particles were that fine decayed organic matter and not inorganic silt or lake bottom. Those particles resuspended 4 to 5 feet in the water column. So specifically to Lake Mattoon, 10 feet below the surface has little to no sunlight, and that's required for algae growth because the particles are scattered at shallower level. More specifically, regarding nutrients needed by microsystem producing blue-green algae, phosphorus is usually considered the limiting factor for growth. Phosphorus enters the lake from field and residential on-runoff septic systems, decay of organic material in other places as well. And in several shallow lake studies, lakes at about 4 feet deep, which is more like paradise than it is Lake Mattoon, wind-driven waves cause measurable increases in total phosphorus in the water column. Other studies showed sediment and phosphorus concentration associated with recreational boats in water up to 10 feet deep. An Indiana lake showed resuspension of sediment and nutrients like phosphorus associated with wake boats, but only when water was 10 feet deep or less. The Minnesota study I mentioned earlier did not find any phosphorus with wake boat elevations compared to baseline lake levels. And the Minnesota study recommended wake boats operate in 20 feet or more water when in surfing mode. To fully equate that wake boat guidance with respect to other boats, they also recommended that all boats operate in 10 feet or more water and reduce speed to no wake if under 10 feet. This committee did not make a recommendation for any boats outside of wake boats, but added for a full perspective and context for the research studies. We also looked at other states and regulatory bodies. Vermont passed a rule stating wake sports must be at least 500 feet from shore and 20 feet deep. Michigan DNR recommends that wake boats operate at 500 feet from shore and 15 feet deep. Maine passed a law stipulating that wake surfing must be 300 feet from shore and at least 15 feet of water. Illinois has no statewide law. In addition, we contacted area lakes and none had any prohibitions or recommendations concerning wake boats. For a staff comparison, one of the lakes that we contacted is Lake Springfield. It's just about 4,000 acres. It's the drinking water supply for Springfield and surrounding communities. Its max depth is 27 feet. Average depth is 12.5 feet. Lake Mattoon is just over 1,000 acres. Drinking water, as we know, its max depth is 35 feet compared to 27, and the average depth is 10.5 feet compared to 12.5 in Springfield. So after considering public input, scientific evidence, existing laws and regulations, the committee voted 4-1 to recommend adopting standards consistent with the state of Maine. That wake boats operating in enhanced wake modes with ballast or wake shaping devices engaged must operate in water at least 15 feet deep and maintain a distance of 300 feet or more from shore. When not engaged in enhanced wake boats would follow the standard boating regulations already in existence. The committee recognizes that wake boats can impact lake conditions in shallow water. At the same time, we believe a balanced, evidence-based approach can mitigate these risks without requiring a full ban. The 15-foot depth threshold reflects the point at which sediment may still be disturbed, but is unlikely to enter the biologically active zone that supports algae growth. The 300-foot shoreline buffer extends the current 200-foot no-wake zone to further address shoreline erosion concerns by residents. In closing, our recommendation seeks to protect the long-term health of Lake Mattoon while allowing responsible recreational use. Thanks for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Brian, certainly we appreciate what you guys did and the meetings that you had, the depth of your research. As you and I know, I did not attend any meetings and really did not give you any rules to abide by. There were no guarantees that we were going to adopt what you recommended. We still have to make that decision. You gave a great report. We still have to resolve that. It seems like not very many groups like yours would do what you did in order to help us do our job. So we certainly appreciate that. Tonight, we don't really have, you actually developed somewhat of a change in the ordinance that we could review. And it really just identified primarily, the 15 feet and 300 from shore. There's some other minor things, but it was indeed somewhat of a compromise. So I don't know what I would expect that we would do. We don't really have an ordinance that we can adopt tonight. What we expected to do is take your information, what you say, get whatever questions that we've got right now, and then develop any changes that we would have and vote on it as soon as we can. Because, number one, people are going to be new wake boats that want to come. Although, I think, John, today, if someone came in and wanted a wake boat license, what would you say to them? I mean, you would discourage them until we make a final decision? Give us kind of a...
I wouldn't say anything.
Oh, you wouldn't?
I think it would be fair because I don't have a clue what is going to go on.
Right. Well, no.
The timelines.
Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting you to say what was going to happen, but at least caution them that we're planning to make a decision right away, and that they can register if they want.
I will now, based on, what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. Did anybody disagree with that? That approach at this point? Yeah. So what would you think? Next meeting? Is there any reason why we can't?
We can have some discussion on that. I mean, like I said, have some discussion amongst the council of what they heard tonight
Right.
and what they've been presented. And I don't know if you have some more of that, what you read off that you could give the council of the studies that you looked at.
I can give you this copy exact and I can email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way we can look at stuff. Again, I think compromise of some sort to start out with is a good
Right.
thing. But again, I think as we see studies, we see other states studying, we'll have to look and see where we go in the future.
From the very beginning, I think I shared with you that we think the water at both lakes is critical to us for use to, drink and use, and not necessarily for recreational purposes. And we kind of said that from the beginning. We're not talking about taking all recreational services from the lakes away by any means, but we do we do appreciate, and I think we can get together and make a go ahead, Dave.
I just had a quick question. John, are we still getting, we get additional requests for permits for more wake boats?
No, we had 22 last year registered. And I believe only one has renewed as of this year, possibly two, but I know one for sure has renewed already. But I don't know, well.
I mean, that could change, obviously. I understand that, but as we're seeing it right now, we're not getting more coming in.
New
Is
ones.
that right? New
ones.
Not yet.
There were a few new ones last year.
Was there? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And then you had mentioned, I think you said 9 people spoke at the 3 different meetings.
Correct.
How many people attended?
There was probably an additional 5 or 6 that attended that did not speak, right? The fair statement. Yeah. Okay.
You took roll at every meeting, and you got a list of everybody that was there.
Anyone that wants to speak, we got them signed and asked that you answer a few questions. And if someone chose not to speak, then we did not include them in the poll.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just have a couple questions and one comment. So the banning of the wake boat, like that ordinance coming up, didn't really have anything to do with the algae bloom. That's just whenever it landed on the council agenda. So it actually came up because of shoreline issues. So we had other people that live at the lake came in because their shoreline was being damaged, they felt like, from the addition of wake boats. So I just wanted to clarify that. The other thing is while you were gathering information, did you gather any information from our water supply to see what the levels were of phosphorus or anything else in our lake over the past few years?
Heather gave some of those answers when she was speaking to us, and then I did look at their report. That was, I believe, from August or September last year, the water quality that was released, but those were the 2 sources I looked at.
Okay. And I mean, I know that we have other issues in the water, but again, it's our drinking water. So, some of it is we have runoff from the fields, we have sewage being dumped in. But, so whenever you were looking at all of those things, did the other lakes have those other issues as well? Like, are their septics being emptied into that lake, contributing to the phosphorus levels, or?
I would hesitate to comment on that as far as septic system. I just don't know.
Okay.
I grew up right on this field, so I do know that there's quite a bit of runoff from farm fields and other residential areas on that lake specifically.
Okay. I was just curious if we had like apples to apples or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions anybody has? Any comments, anybody else in the audience?
I appreciate your report and all your research. And it was not unanimous. It was 4-1. Is that right?
That's correct.
The one individual, I don't want you to speak for that individual, but what was the underlying purpose for the no?
Erosion concerns.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And
What's that?
that was my concern.
Oh,
in depth. Okay.
I didn't hear that. Yeah, okay. See you back there.
So are you talking the depth of the lake on average is 11 and a half, 10 and a half? And you're suggesting 15, so that puts it south by the dam, correct?
South
And
of
just in that little area.
Causeway, yeah.
Who's going to enforce the 200 or 300 foot distance if you do it off it? Who's going to enforce that? But right now, I live in Lake Maxine. I've lived there since 1977.
Mhm.
And I live in an area where, there is no wake. And I still have people coming, and there's a no wake moving, and I still have people coming down through there. They're at one fast.
Right.
Putting out a
What's
wake,
his name?
which erodes all the shoreline.
Get it.
Then the trees fall in, a lot of the vegetation falls in, which filters out a lot of the nutrients and a lot of the pollutants that go into the lake. So who's going to enforce this 300 foot, 15 foot deck? You don't have people to do that. Are you going to hire somebody to do that?
You're right. Excuse me, what was your name? I didn't get.
Bill Miller.
Bill Miller, okay. We'd certainly have to address those. It hasn't been done in the past, as you know. There's not lake police out there like there used to be back in Elmer days.
Yeah, since 1977. we
Right.
did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that would have to be addressed, and there's going to be costs with that.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments, though.
John, how are we doing on, you and I have talked in the past about riprap and helping to control the shoreline, but that's pretty much cost prohibitive, isn't it?
Well, currently we have many areas, not counting the personally owned property. I'm talking about the city owned property. My opinion, there's 5,000 to 6,000 feet at a minimum that need some sort of break wall or riprap to help. The last few years, what we've noticed is a lot of the vegetation's gone along the edge of the lake. The fishermen even comment on that where'd the weeds go? I'm like, I don't know. But it appears around $85 a foot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on some of the contractors. So you're looking at, in my opinion, $500,000 minimum of break walls that need to be put up to protect the shoreline. There's other things that we can do, just spotty like we've done already, thanks to the grant people and so on, that we've got some of the things accomplished, so it's been very beneficial. Now, how beneficial it is to algae bloom, I have no clue. I'm just talking about shoreline erosion.
Right.
And that's all that, like Mr. Miller mentioned, it's everywhere, even in the coves.
Okay.
The other one is big.
I can't,
Say
okay.
about the systems.
Well, would you come up to the mic, just because we've got people that
Are online.
can't hear, we got people online?
They all.
No.
They're all on just the computer.
The
That's
the
not,
purpose of the mics are to let people that are outside of this room to hear. These are not, we don't have a speaker out there. So that's why we try to talk loud enough. So we just have to speak up. Go ahead.
My name is Heather McFarland. I live here in Mattoon. I work for the water treatment plant, the superintendent. And in regards to the microsystems, this is from an October sampling, October 30th of 2025. At the 16-foot depth in Lake Paradise, the microcystin count was 2.06. So microcystin does grow deep in the water. Both lakes, Lake Mattoon and Lake Paradise, have what we call cold water algae. So the algae grows all year round. That's by the EPA. And wake boats, from my understanding, after going to the meeting, so if you have a 2-foot wave on top of the water, you have a 2-foot wave below the water. with the average depth at Mattoon being 10 to 10.5 feet, you are stirring that sediment. That sediment is filled with nitrogen, ammonia, and phosphorus. Those are the three active ingredients that algae absolutely love. So when you suspend that sediment, or when you get that sediment moving into the water column, the algae just have a buffet. It grows all year round. It has been here since the beginning of time because cyanobacteria is one of the first living on the planet. So it's been here forever. But with the droughts that we have, about water coming in to move it out of the top of the water, it's going to continue to grow. My concern as an environmental biologist, as a superintendent of the water plant, if Lake Paradise goes low, I have to pump water from Lake Mattoon into Lake Paradise to keep it full. That's an absolute must if we want water for the city of Mattoon and for everybody else that buys water from us. And I'm sorry for the people that live at Lake Mattoon if I have to drop the water level 2 feet like I did last year, just to keep Lake Paradise full. And we were put into, we had a possibility for a 5-year drought. So this is starting the year 4. So if we have another drought like we did last year, I'm pumping more water out of Lake Mattoon. There's nothing I can do if we want water for the city of Mattoon. So that should be our first and foremost important.
Yeah.
And I understand people spent lots of money on these wake boats. I understand that. But what do you want? Do you want drinking water or do you want to spend recreation?
We are doing an extensive review of all of our water products and lakes and drainage and a lot of things. And we don't really have all the solutions yet. If we had a lot more money,
Oh, I understand.
but we don't.
So when CMT did their Clean Lake study, and they started this back in early 2000, they did it in 2003, and then they did another one in 2007. Both lakes are phosphorus contaminated. I mean, it's on the internet. You can read it through their studies. We have high phosphorus, and that comes from not just your agriculture, but all the septic systems that drain into the lake. Both lakes. Until we have a legislation that helps that, we're going to continue to have that problem. I mean, I don't, and with so all the rain that we just had, the nitrates from the farm fields, all that anhydrous, where did it go? It came right into both lakes.
So Heather, so you said because of the drought last summer, you pumped about 2 feet of water in from Lake Mattoon into Lake Paradise. So last summer, the average depth of the lake was actually
Lower.
8 feet.
Yeah, that's why some of the coves on that northeast end were dry.
Which I think is a critical point because during the summertime, it's not uncommon to pump water from Lake Mattoon into Lake Paradise. So the average depth is actually probably lower during the summertime.
Yes.
Okay.
So whenever we were doing that, I was pumping 3 million gallons a day out of Lake Mattoon to fill Lake Paradise. In the summertime, we use anywhere from 2.2 to 2.8 million gallons of water. So I have to pump enough to be able to, what I'm sending to town, have a little extra to start filling the lake.
Yeah.
And Heather, next meeting, we're going to approve the bids for the water chemicals for treatment.
Yeah.
Are those, I think last time we did, they were on average about 20% increase. Do you see that?
Yep, we're going back up.
And then you're obviously using a lot more chemicals to treat, so.
We're using a lot of powder activated carbon right now.
Okay.
We've used 80,000 pounds of it.
Okay.
In the past, we might have used 40,000 a year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody? Yeah, yes, come on. Yeah, would you, yeah.
Miller, like that, Jim.
I spent about an hour
Okay, I'll ask.
at Lake Sarah Boat Show with Tom Ryan. He worked on Lake Carlisle, and he is now working at Lake Sarah. He gave me some great information. Alex got the last grant, the only grant that I know of that Lake Mattoon had. pardon me. There's a new director at the DNR that will help you, will guide you, that will lead you, and I gave this information out. So she's easy to work with. She is interested in helping all the waterways in the state of Illinois. We need to contact her. We need to get her on board. Alex started this, and there's money out there. You need to tap into that as much as you can.
Do we have that name and contact?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom
So we-
Ryan cannot come to Lake Mattoon and help us because I've got to. But he said he wouldn't mind a phone call and he'd give you all the information he could offer. He doesn't know it all. They had trees behind a cliff. And when the wakeboards, and everybody I talked to on the lakes, that I tried to do a comparison to our size of lake, did the wakeboards. Lake Sarah's done it since 2013. They did it for revenue. And they said the residents there are suffering. But it's there and it's hard to get rid of now, the wakeboarding stuff. And I'm not against wakeboarding. I am very much wanting the water quality to rise, and the depth and treat our lakes the respect that they deserve for our future generations. This is what I'm looking out for. Our property value will not be worth anything if this lake gets to the point where we can't swim, we can't use it as recreation, but first and foremost, we can't use it as drinking water. We'll have to buy water. Think of that expense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. There was somebody online trying to get in.
Yeah, and Alex Ingram,
Yeah,
you want to
thank
speak out?
Nope, thank you, Alex Ingram. I live at 30 Lockhart Drive in Neoga, live on the lake. Just had a couple questions and maybe a little bit concerns whenever I hear things like it's cost prohibitive for putting out riprap and shore wall. What has been done in the past? I mean, do we have, is it transparent on what the lake is bringing in versus what the town is doing to maintain it? Because this isn't just a new problem. Yep.
Yeah, there's a budget in there. I mean, we can show what, what the lake has brought in versus what has been spent. And I mean, we've not spent everything that we've brought in, but it's not a large portion. We may make 60,000 one year, make 30,000 the next year, maybe 100,000 the next year, but it's not a lot of money either way. A majority of the money that we do spend out there is from the campgrounds, of course. That's the biggest revenues that we have out there is the campgrounds. And then we do continue to, look for grants and stuff like that in the last, 4 or 5 years to try to help with riprap and try to increase budget some for riprap and stuff like that when we have the ability to.
Well, out of that, I find it hard to believe that we're only making, $30,000 from water and everything. So drinking water. And...
Not from the water, no, but I mean just from the recreational side of the lake.
Well, my point being is that's all coming through a healthy lake. Whenever I Google Lake Mattoon, the first couple things that come up is algae blooms, harmful algae, things like that. Whenever people Google our lake, sorry, and look for houses or a destination to go to, that's the first thing they're seeing. I think a little bit should be, a little bit more attention there should be happening. I'm happy to be on any kind of committee that we can do, but I think something needs to happen there.
Well, I think that we've made that priority one.
You'll have to speak up. I'm sure they cannot hear you.
We have made water quality priority one in our strategic plan for this year, so.
Absolutely.
And like you said, you'll see if you stick around for my budget presentation, we are spending a lot of money out of the water fund, spending more than we're bringing in to try to combat some of these issues. And it's a big puzzle. There's lots of pieces, and we're going to have to use all the pieces we can to try to put the puzzle together to, there's some of it that's towards treating the lakes, and then there's some of it that is towards the water quality as well, that treating the water from the lake, and then some of it's the water quality itself. So it's going to be an issue for years, and we're going to have to continue to put those pieces together as fast as we can.
Okay. You have to come up here, please.
Jason Little.
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking. I'm almost. Hi, Jason Little. I'm Alex's neighbor at 31 Lockhart. You can see my shirt. You can see where I stand on this, right? Let's just not to call you out, but I want to make sure that we're not conflating arguments here. Based on the budget, it looks like the lake brings in somewhere around 4.2 million in, based off of water sales, based off campgrounds, based off of permits. Depends on how you want to count it, somewhere between 3.8 and 4.2 million. And if we're talking about water quality, then the recreation side, it shouldn't matter. The 4.2 million number is what we should be looking at. A portion of that should be set aside, and it should be used to riprap money.
And we do put a portion of it every year towards that, but not.
I would love to see that budget. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Look through it. I cannot find it.
Okay. Well, you'll see some slides here on where that money is being spent.
Thank you.
Any other questions we got? The next thing on the agenda is going to be the budget. So if you want to stick around for that, we'll do that. Anybody else online got any question? I don't hear anybody. Okay, so we don't need to close the discussion. So we're going to go on to the budget then. Anybody that wants to leave now would be a good time, but we're going to talk about the budget and we will get into the water budget, sewer and some of those things. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I'm sure we'll be in touch. Okay.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get it.
See.
Trying to hear.
Yeah, so you,
Yeah. We'll go ahead and start the budget hearing. Open it up. Okay, starting with the general fund. Our general fund budget revenues this year is 26,983,682. Expenditures just under that at 26,978,237, with right now a surplus of 5,445.
Is that budget or is that actual?
That's
Year's actual.
That's budget, what we're budgeting
for the next year,
for next year.
next fiscal year.
The general fund, some of our largest expenditures, of course, is salaries, overtime, $9 million. Employee benefits is almost $11 million. Transfer to capital projects, repair and advance streets, sidewalks, water, not really water and sewer, but streets and sidewalks, other infrastructure, it's 1.1 million. And then transfer to the public library from the property taxes is 629,000. Of
Can I ask a question kind of while you're going?
Yeah, anytime.
That employee benefits, that includes retired also.
Yes.
It's not, it's the salaries, employee benefits of existing employees is not pensions.
They're in there.
Right, pensions, yeah, they're pensions, the employees, but not the retirees is also in that, in the employee benefits, right?
Yes. Retiree health insurance, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Our budgeted revenues, 57% is the state shared revenues at about 15.5 million. Again, we're kind of at the mercy of the governor if he ends up reducing LGF funds. I know there's a lot of legislators that are against that, so we'll see. Property taxes bring in about 6 million. Utility tax, 1.4. Charges for services, 2.1. That's building permits and stuff like that. Well, that's not building permits, other charges for services. Franchise tax, miscellaneous revenues that we receive from other departments, licenses and permits. It's about 372,000. Grants, 165,000, and then cannabis tax, we're projecting 200,000. So, not flipping over. So on the budgeted expense side, about 9 million is in salaries and overtime, 6 million in pensions, 6.5, 3.8 million in healthcare, health insurance. Daily operations is almost 4 million. Again, that's our daily operations, our fuel, our heating and cooling of our buildings, office supplies, those type of items. Capital improvements, the 1.1 million that we transferred. Libraries number in there, 630,000. Property and casualty insurance, 390,000. Work comp, 438,000. The mobile equipment fund, put in 500,000 this year for vehicle purchases, fire trucks, ambulances, anything like that. Utilities, 283,000. Then the expenditures of the cannabis tax towards the ordinance, 200,000. And then computers, about 41,000. This is just a spreadsheet that I did kind of showing what the different departments, how many employees. There's 44 employees in the police department. Revenues, about 400 and, is that revenues? That's the way. Yeah, 405,000 in revenues. Some of that is grants. Expenditures of 8.8 million in the salaries. Well, salaries and pensions. The whole department's 8.8 million, but pensions is 2.7, salaries is 5. Salary and benefits is 5 million. Really, their everyday expenses is $1 million of what they're spending on fuel and heating the building and ammunition and those type of things. Their expenditures are about 32.8% of the budget. And I kind of broke down their pensions as about 10% of the budget, 10% of their budget. So there's a lot of information in there, but I don't want to go through it all. But I did kind of do that, and I have last year's that I did it for the first time, so I can send those to you for comparisons if anyone wants to see that. So I did the same thing to the fire. Fire's budget's 7.8 million, about 3.5 in pensions, 3.6 in salaries and benefits, and about 635,000 of expenditures. Public Works, 1.7 million. Their IMRF, 24,000. Their salaries and benefits is 957,000. Again, the biggest part of theirs, their salaries is 40% to the general fund, 30% to water, 30% to sewer, and a lot of their expenses are split a third. Parks, same thing, revenues. Parks Lake Cemetery, that's some of the recreation out of the lakes.
Kyle, got a quick question on the Public Works, 24 employees, is that right?
Yes,
Is that,
that's Public Works, Water Department, and Sewer.
is that current, or are you budgeting any increases there or
That's just
together?
current numbers.
Okay, so as I understand it right, that 1.754 is just a third, or just 40%.
40%, yeah.
The other 60% are in the water fund and the sewer fund.
Yeah.
So does that offset the 4.2 that the gentleman was talking about? Does that help explain some of that?
Yeah, to help explain some of that, when we get to the water, there's a little bit more.
So we're not spending 1.754 on 24 employees. It's 3 times, that's 40%.
Yeah, that's 40% of the spend. And there's some employees that are all water and some all sewer, so. Community development, they don't do a lot of revenues, to just building permits and cut streets and stuff like that, about 114,000. Expenditures, 344,000. Salaries there are split up a little bit as well. Our plumbing inspectors pretty much like 80% out of the water fund, water and sewer. 40. And then, Alex's salary is split up a little bit into the TIF district and, other areas as well. So not everybody is 40, 30, 30. There is variations through different departments.
Those percentage changes, are they the same as last year as the percentages? You didn't change any of the percentages for this year?
I do not believe we did we? Managers, 286,000. That's a big jump this year, but that put the cannabis 200,000 in there. So, 200,000 going in and 200,000 going out of that budget. Just that's why we put the line items underneath the manager's budget. And again, my salary is 40, 30, 30. City clerk's office, about 229,000 in revenues. Expenditures about 304,000. IMRF, salaries and benefits, you can see there. They spend about 70,000 throughout the year. Finance, the revenues, it looks like a big number there. That's sort of retiree share health insurance.
It's a combination of the retirees and
Property tax, yeah.
premium. Portion of the cost of the premiums don't cover.
Yeah. So that's why it's got a huge number there. It's got all the financial stuff in there that's not categorized in any other department. Their expenditure is about 2.8 million. Again, you can look at that retiree health care down there is 2,251,000. Council, 425,000. The biggest chunk of that is the video gaming funds. We did the 3 that are out of that category instead of 20% that we have done in the past. We dropped it to 15% this year. And we've done that once or twice in the past when the budget's got a little tight to help balance the budget.
You have to change the ordinance on that?
We hadn't changed the ordinance in the past. I mean, it was set to that we would try to do that, but we haven't really changed the actual ordinance. Council, if they approve the budget that way, it's basically saying that it's okay to do that as long as we bring it out. We did that once before, but then we went back to the 20 when we were able to. I'm still doing the 20 on the pensions and 20 on surplus. Computer IT, revenues there, a little bit of revenues there. Not sure what I could say.
That interfund charge.
Interfund charge. Oh, from other departments. Yeah. Expenditures about 421,000. Again, you can see salaries, benefits about 192,000. And their expenditures on software, computers, licensing and all that. So that's keep us going. This is a chart that I've used for several years. It shows the blue is our property tax, what we get every year. We get a little bit increase every year. And then the pensions, you can see about in 2022, pensions took all of the property tax. We've been that way since about 2025. And now they're actually, last 2 years, the pensions have been over the property tax. And so money has been coming out of the general fund to help pay for pensions. So this year's 298,416 that had to come out of the pension, or had to come out of the general fund. Motor fuel tax, we budgeted revenues about 843,000. We are spending 1.4 million. Just lots of projects that we're trying to do to help development. So we're deficit spending of 557,000, bringing our balance down, projected balance at the end of the budget year to 59,000. We may have to cut back on some of the buildings in the next few years of building roads, but still do a lot of planning, requesting a lot of grant money. So we can continue to improve infrastructure. Some of the largest expenditures, Swords intersection and the Swords Drive North, sort of 500,000 expenditure this year. Street maintenance, 564,000. Street lighting, 200,000.
On that street maintenance, is that expected expense or was that because of repairs that were needed?
That's the oil and chip and patching of some different concrete roads. A little bit of everything. Hotel motel tax. Budgeted revenues of 580,000, expenditures of 582,000. So a little bit of a deficit spending, but the projected year-end balance would be 291,000. Salaries and benefits is about 173. Special projects, 25,000. Tourism grants of 310,000. In that festival management, again, we have a budget about 278,000. 285 is expected this year of expenditures. A little bit deficit spending again. It has a projected balance of about $22,000. We try to keep that pretty low, just enough to cover the expenses of the 4th of July, which is about 37,000. Those continue to go up. You know, fireworks are not cheap and can't keep the same show. It's getting more costly every year. Bagel Fest, about 196,000. That's the entertainment as well. And then the light works about 52,000. Mobile equipment fund, we're putting away 688,000 into the mobile equipment fund. Expenditures of 478,000. Leaving 210 left. Projecting a balance of about 1.3 million. Again, we try to put that money away to, especially for like fire trucks and ambulances that are very expensive. We try to put as much of it away as we can to kind of build those up and, you know, save money for 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years to be able to purchase something and not have to go out and borrow money for those purchases. Largest expenditures this year is a 1 squad car, 50,000, an air burner of 218,000. That air burner, if we purchase that, we think it'll pay for itself back within 2 years of what we paid for grinding of land yard waste. So we spend about 120 to 130 every year in grinding. So we buy this burner. If it works out well, then, you know, reduce that cost and it'll pay for itself within 2 years. A backhoe, looking at buying a newer backhoe than one of our older ones, but not necessarily new. And that'd be split a third between Public Works, Water and Sewer. And turbine meters, $50,000 for that. Parks Department pickup truck, a mower in the parks, a mower in the cemetery. Those are kind of the big purchases this year. Again, we always try to put a little bit more than what we think we're going to spend just to build up. And if a mower does go bad, we can have the money to buy one, then it's, you know, we'll replace one sooner if.
This is mine, or are those two mowers the same?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you can't bid them out together.
Oh, we could bid them out together. Yes. I mean,
That's what I meant.
Yeah, same.
To save maybe a little bit.
Yeah, they're not used in the same areas, but yes.
I understand that, but
typically we'll, you know, a rear discharge in the cemetery, and we don't necessarily do that in the parks.
gotcha.
Revolving loan fund, 104 budgeted revenues in there, budget expenditures of 104. It's got 760,000 projected to be at the end of the year. Again, that money can be loaned out for some startup businesses, that they pay back at a low percent, 3% or half a prime, whatever's lower. Capital fund, that's improvements to the city. We're budgeting about $6 million in revenues. We've got a lot of projects that we're trying to do, 9.5 million in expenditures. If we can get it all done, saying we can get it all done, but if we do, we'd be overspending 3.5 million and still have an ending balance of 774,669. Some of the big projects, Little Wabash Drainage. Again, we got a grant for that money that's coming in and that'll be going out. Right in, right out project. Again, that was basically being paid for grants, 3.7 million. Sidewalk cost sharing, about 200,000. Fire Station 3 addition. We still have 500,000 in there if we can find a way to bring those costs down. We'll continue to see if we can't maybe be the general contractor or something like that to get that done.
What was our last estimate on that?
The estimate from the engineer was 450 to 500,000.
But the bids, you're talking about the bids.
Yeah,
The bid was 800.
that's what I thought. So the bid was 300K more than that.
City sidewalk project, try to do 1 or 2 projects every year. I've got 330,000 budgeted for that. Riddle Elementary sidewalk, that has been completed, but we still have to pay for that. And we'll be getting that bill from the state, hopefully this year. Police department, Alpha Controls, we put a new air handler up on top of the building. The software that controls everything is old and outdated. Still working, but is getting harder and harder to get people to work on it.
Did you see what, see, Brim asked a question. Wanted to know a little bit more about the Little Wabash grant.
Oh,
What's the question?
Something about, wanted to know a little bit more about the Little Wabash grant.
Little Wabash grant project, we applied for a grant for drainage. The upsize the drainage district tile from Route 16 to the Little Wabash. And upgrading that to a 60-inch from like a 30 to a 60-inch. We applied for a grant 2 or 3 years ago, got denied 2 years in a row for that grant. The state did reach out to us this year and said, hey, we have some extra money. You guys still interested in doing that project? We said yes, so we're continuing to go back to that project and work on that. And that is basically solving some flooding issues on the west side of Mattoon.
Is that grant figure included in the budgeted revenues?
Yes. Anytime we talk about grants, we do have them coming in as revenues and the same amount going out as expenditures. Unless there's a match, then we may have a little bit more going out. Tree plantings, again, we get usually grants for that, $25,000 a year. We do tree plantings around Mattoon. Debt service on the Public Works building, $459,000. Jumping into the Midtown TIF, got about $1 million of revenues, $1.6 million in expenditures. At the end of the year, we're projecting to have 475,000 still. We have about 360,000 going out into grants being paid for. Shared increment with the other taxing bodies, about 200,000. We have some repaired maintenance at City Hall for 50,000. Depot repairs 40,000. Burgess Osborne repairs and maintenance 350,000. Broadway paving 500,000. I-57 East TIF District, about 600,000 in revenues, 560,000 in expenses, ending balance of 716,000. Shared increment with the other taxing bodies, 118,000. TIF grants 234. And then the Coles Center detention basin, about 200 is what we're planning. We don't actually have a figure from them yet, but that's what we're thinking it's going to come in around. Or half of it or share of it.
So those TIF grants expenditures, are those anticipated grants or those grants in the pipeline or?
The grants are the ones that we've already awarded, typically that we know we have to pay out. So if we know that there's one coming down the pipeline, we will, like this 200,000, we threw that in there. We know that they're going to be asking for some money for a detention bond. We just don't really know that. Took a guess. I-57 East Business District. Again, about 54,000 in revenues coming in there, 46,000 going out on expenditures. At the end of the year, I have about 45,000 in there. Business District grant is 44,000. That's part of the Hilton Garden Inn. Broadway East TIF, about 323,000 in revenues, 157,000 in expenditures. Building up some money in that. Projected year end would be about $1 million in that Broadway East TIF district. Shared increment of 64,000 and TIF grants of 90,000. Broadway East Business District, about 429,000 in revenues, 381 in expenditures. Again, that one's building up a little bit as well, 916,000 projected year end, 37,000 in business district grants, and they're still paying off the debt service on mall improvements of 342,000. South Route 45, about 93,000 in revenues, 82,000 in expenditures. Projected balance at the end of the year, 45,000, shared increment of 18,600, and still paying off the debt on the Quality Inn improvements. Should be getting close to time. Do you remember when that might be?
I'm thinking that all of those obligations mature before 2030. Sometime in the.
Yeah, I think the mall's like 28 or 29, and then
I think they're all sometime before 20.
That'd be fiscal year 28. Is that correct?
The mall might be 29, last payment.
Okay.
Fiscal 29. Might be at the end of 28, but.
Gotcha. Okay.
Year, but. South Route 45 Business District, about 50,000 in revenues, 18,000 in expenditures, 267,000 projected year end. Business district grant of 15,758. Remington Road, sports complex area, 112,000 basically of revenues. Basically about the same expenditures because we've been giving that back. Projected year in about $400. Business district grant of the 111,500. That was the TIF, excuse me. Business district, 1.8 million in revenues, 1.8 million of expenditures. Again, that's the sales tax out in that area. Business district sales tax. Water fund. Water fund here, the budget revenues, about 4.5 million in revenues. Or debt issuance of 5,100,000. Budget expenditures of 10,960,000. 1.3 million before depreciation of a deficit. We'd still have a projected balance of about 1.3 million at the end of the year. Our largest expenditures, salaries and overtime, it's about 1.4 million. Employees benefits, 480,000. We are in process of, working on getting granular activated carbon filters. That's going projected to be 1.1 million. And the engineering for ozone is 600,000. A lime slaker system, we've been trying to do that for several years. We finally got the loan to do that. That's $4 million project. Lake algicide treatments, we have 300,000 put in for that. Emergency generator at Sarah Bush. Storage tank, 80,000. 15th Street water main construction, 85,000.
How long is that loan for the Lime system? How many years?
20.
20 years, I guess.
Yeah. Standpipe booster pumps, 85,000. Lake Mattoon dam repairs, 100,000. Chemicals, 525,000. Natural gas, 202,000. Transfer for the mobile equipment fund, 75,000. Demolition of the old water department building, 85,000. We have a lot of water meters going bad throughout the city, replacing a lot of water meters, 150,000 out of the water. We're going to also spend 150,000 out of the sewer. Utility tax transfer to the general fund, 120,000. So that's, those are the biggest expenditures there in the water.
Kyle, so some of these projects you'd mentioned, some of these we've been planning on or working on in years past. Some of these projects are a result of the situation last summer.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these various things that everybody has an idea of, what's the best way to go about, whether it be dredging the lake or putting riprap around the lake, or all those things are just a portion of the overall plan for the overall health of the lake. That'd be accurate.
That is accurate. I mean, and the drinking water. So there's, multiple stages of it. Part of it is treating the water so it's drinkable. But then again, eventually we want the water quality of the lakes to be better as well. So we don't have to treat as much and use as much chemicals.
Right.
So those are some longer term things that we need to work on as well.
Which we have been doing. Some of those have been years in the making, and some of them have came about just within the last 8 months. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, we've dredged part of the north part of Lake Mattoon for sediment area here, Lake Paradise for sediment. We did plantings out there with other groups, but that's some of that has not worked as well as we thought it would.
How much of that sheet right there is because of our water issue from last summer?
Well, you can say that probably the GAC filters. We were probably going to be replacing filters anyway, but we are replacing them with better filters, ones that we think will help the treatment process better as well. The ozone is definitely algicide treatments, keep everything under control. So there's
$2 million.
Yeah, $2 million going towards that right now. And like I said, the engineering on the ozone we know it's going to probably be about $4 million expenditure that we'll be, trying to save up money for. Otherwise, we'll be getting loans from IEPA as well.
Where's the lime slaker system go?
So
where's that at?
That whole new, it's a whole new system from what we have right now.
The other gets taken out, or is it kind of a retrofit thing that?
It'd be a new system that'll go in there and then the old system will come out.
In the existing facility?
Yeah. I mean, it's 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Built in 98.
Yep.
The sliders that we have now have been rebuilt 3 times. We've done a couple soft rebuilds on them. You can no longer get parts for them. The EPA came in 2018, told us we needed to upgrade our system. We've been trying ever since. So right now, the lime slaker system is on the top floor where the water operators are. The new system is going to go in the basement where the raw main comes into the plant. And the new silo will sit out in the parking lot instead of on top of the building like it is now.
Cool. Okay. Sewer fund, budgeted revenues about $5 million. EDP grants of 1.2. Budgeted expenditures of about 7.8. Again, spending more than we're bringing in. Spending down a little bit, but we still projected to have about 2.3 at the end of the year. And we've tried to keep both the water fund and the sewer fund about a $2 million surplus, just to, in case something major happens, we have some funds to do that, to get anything we can started. Why do we go out and try to borrow money if it's a major? Biggest expenditures, again, salaries, overtime, 1.3 million, employee benefits, 443,000, combined sewer overflow engineering, 340,000. That's requirement we got to do from the IEPA. Riley substation bar screens, need replaced, 500,000. Nutrient removal engineering. We have a big project with the sewer plant that by 2035, we have to have these nutrient removals up and going. It's about a $53 million project overall. So this is just the start of the engineering of that. The water meters that I talked about before, half of the payment out of here. Country Orchard sewer lining, instead of replacing sewers, we want to try to do some sewer lining. We haven't done sewer lining in the past. This is a good area that we know we have a lot of water infiltration into our system, groundwater. So that's an area we want to start to see how well that project goes. North Swords sanitary construction, 1.2 million. 28th Street lift station engineering. We have a lift station on North 28th. We think we could maybe gravity flow that to a different lift station, which would reduce one lift station, reduce the yearly maintenance costs of running the lift station. So we want to take a better look at the engineering on that. Wastewater and treatment plant improvements, about $1 million out there. Again, we've replaced a lot of pumps out there. We continue to do a lot of work out there, and keep things going as we work towards this $53 million project that will move a lot of it out of the floodplain. We'll be working on a lot of different grants on that as well. Debt service about 606,000. Natural gas and electric utilities 375,000. And then transfer to mobile equipment fund of 105,000.
What was the, I missed it, the $53 million project by 2035 is what?
That's for the nutrient removal. We have the engineering in there for 500,000 to get started.
But the overall projected cost is going to be $53 million.
Yeah.
So we would end up spending bonds to do that, most of it.
Yeah.
And then we end up recovering by actually
water
increasing
rates. Yeah.
Because those are enterprise funds, both the water and sewer department. They need to be paid for by the people that use those services. So they don't really interfere with the general fund, or rarely.
Right.
Wouldn't say never. But so again, that's the way we have to run those kind of things. And we're driven by, there's EPA requirements. Clearly we want our water to be good to drink, taste okay, and those kind of things. So we have to spend literally millions of dollars to do that. And the only way we can do that and get it done is to borrow or sell bonds and then pay it back by the people that use it, or, use the water. And those will go up, not unlike any other community that's making major improvements to their community, just like we have to. So that's, and another thing you might mention is we had a retreat a few months back now, I guess it's been, but the department heads, the council members, outside people came in, and we tried to identify the key things that we need to do over the next several years. A big part of it is through public works. And that's our biggest sewer, water, the big projects. And we try to prioritize that. And some of the decisions we're making today and we're actually funding today is this group sat down and went through that and said, okay, what's most important to get done now? And what kind of things can we put off?
Yep.
So we're not making those decisions. This is the first year that we actually figured out what we wanted and then put the budget together. It's not like we never really talked about those things, but it was a much more organized effort to do that. So I think in the long term, I think we're going to be better off and we're going to prevent some of the things that have happened in the past from happening in the future and not getting caught off guard. So this is typically a way you try to run a large organization. So I don't know, you had questions about water and sewer and what fitting together. We may have to, I don't know if you got them answered or not.
No, but my point there wasn't around the funding per se. My point was, I think it's disingenuous to say that the lake will generate a couple $100,000 in revenue. And make the argument that this is about water quality. If it is about water quality, then the total revenue of the lake has to be included. And that was 4.5 million. Right, plus a couple 100,000, 300,000 from campgrounds, permits, things like that.
Yeah.
Right, that was my point, is that to say that you have to pay for all the improvements from the lake, from revenue that fully comes from recreation.
Right.
It doesn't now.
In order to fix the water quality issues in disingenuous state.
Right.
That was my only.
Yeah. Hopefully this did clarify it a little bit, though, what we kind of went through. Most of the revenue comes from the users of the water and the sewer, not from people that pay for fees.
Thank you.
What's the anticipated debt service, annual debt service on that 53 million?
Haven't got there yet. I mean, that's just, we got to figure that out.
That service isn't starting until after construction is complete.
Yeah.
So therefore, we didn't budget.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, we're just in the engineering phase.
Don't have the amortization schedule set. Like, payback.
We've got, explain this a little bit. We get some money from IDOT, or didn't we get some funding from IDOT that we borrow the money and it may be excused or not?
Well, not IDOT, but the IEPA loans.
No,
Yeah, IEPA loans, there's a lot of times that we get some of that forgiven. So, if we do an $8 million project, they may forgive $1 or $2 million of that project. So you never know that until the
You
state.
still budget for it as if you're going to have to pay it.
But all
but you may actually not ever have to do that.
Yeah. And like I said, there's tons of grants out there that we'll be trying to apply for to be able to get all that done, to not have to charge as much.
We recently hired a grant writer, and that person pretty much dedicates their time to going out and searching for grants that we can bring in. Pays her salary many, many, many times over. And we are utilizing that a lot more. Any money out there that the federal government, the state government, foundations, whatever we can do to raise money where we don't have to go to the user, the resident to get it, we try to take advantage of it. And a lot of the things has helped us accomplish quite a bit.
Okay. Health insurance, we have a budget revenue of about 6.2 million, expenditures of about 62.2 million. We balance that out every year. Our health premiums is a little over 5 million. The Medicare Advantage premiums for those over 65, 796,000. Dental premiums of 173,000, and then life insurance of 31,000. Health insurance, the tan is the area where when we were self-insured, We seen, increase back in 2018 of about 14% increase and 5.7% increase in our total fixed costs. Those kind of started going down. And but our claims kind of stayed around 3 million to 4 million. Total costs been anywhere from 4 million to up to 5.1 million in the past. Back in 21, kind of came down a little bit, but then we're back at 5.2 million. So took a 14.2% increase this past year, and we're projected to be about 18% increase this year. Total insurance and tort judgment about 1.1 million. Budgeted revenues, same with expenditures. Have about 443,000 at the end of the year. Workers' compensation insurance was on a previous slide, 415,000, and property casualty insurance of about 600,000. So that is all I have. It's a lot. We can go over anything you want. You want to talk more about it at a later date, that's fine as well. But that is my budget presentation for this evening.
Yeah, I mean, you're proposing a balanced budget for us.
Yeah.
There's some things we had to give up to get there,
Yes.
but we are proposing a balanced budget. We've had a balanced budget for how many years now?
Several years. I think there's been 2 years out of the last 13, maybe something like that, that we might have been, that we didn't have a balanced budget. But I do believe those ended up being close to balance if it was a little bit upside down with very little. Again, try to keep an eye on it throughout the year. If things change, influx one way or the other, we try to make adjustments. And then at the end of the year, we always try to make adjustments as well. Any other questions? We'll go back to the agenda.
Okay, so new business?
Motion to adopt ordinance number 2026-5503, amending section 114 liquor control of the municipal code of ordinances to clarify the serving and selling of alcoholic beverages and updating the classification of licenses to include a mobile bar unit special event license.
Second.
Can I have a second to that motion?
There it is.
There you go.
And now any discussion? What?
So this is just made some clarifications to who can actually dispense, who could serve, sell alcohol. Again, if you're over 21, you have to be over 21 to actually pour the alcohol. You can be 18 to deliver it to a table as long as someone that's 21 did pour it. And then the 18-year-olds can ring it up at the cash register if it's at a restaurant. So this is also the mobile bar unit, which is a special event license. Kind of if we have a downtown celebration or something, we are allowing a kind of like a mobile food truck, but it's a mobile bar unit to come to a special event.
So we didn't talk about that part of it at the last council meeting. Can you explain a lot more than?
We just started to get one or two requests on something like that. We've been talking about it. We've seen some other cities do it. Angela and Alex kind of put that together from what they've seen, heard from other communities. It really is just under a special event. So it's not like they'll be cruising around town and setting up every week or
So
anything
can
like
anybody
that.
do that, or do they have to have an existing license?
They do have to have an existing license to get the special event.
Or license?
Yeah.
And this will be an additional cost
Yes.
per event.
They get a special event through us and through the state of Illinois.
Any other questions?
So I guess I do have one question. You said that they had to be 21 to pour it. If they're serving it in a can or a bottle, bartender just has to open it and they can still deliver it? would that be considered the 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Ready for roll call? Okay, do roll call.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2026-3337, approving the city manager and public works director to enter into joint purchasing agreements between the city of Mattoon and the Illinois Central Management Services, CMS.
And a second to that motion,
Second.
Commissioner Clausen, and comments.
This is a program where we get all of our road salt for de-icing, excuse me, in the winter. This is just to get us on the list. We won't know what the bids are until probably July or June sometime. And what those costs might be per ton.
Okay. Any other
Those
questions?
are always annually. Then they used to be multi-year, back in the
No,
day.
This is
Never
an annual
happened.
thing.
Always.
And you
annual.
don't know exactly who the provider will be. There's usually 3, I think, maybe 4 that actually bid on this. The 2 that we usually use downstate or out of the St. Louis area, that's where it comes from.
Okay.
Ready for roll call? She's up.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2026-2669, authorizing the relocation of an Ameren electrical pole located at 2700 Marshall Avenue, future expansion of a drive-through bay at fire station number 3, and the expenditure in the amount of $25,367.56.
And a second to that motion,
Second.
second Commissioner Cox, and
We've been trying to figure out a way to put addition on to Station 3. We'd really like to have a drive-through bay. Jeff has worked several months trying to get in contact with people at Ameren. He's had a heck of a job getting to the right people, but finally been able to kind of talk about an easement of their property, and then also the relocation of this pole. If we do a drive-through bay to swing around, a pole does have to be moved to the south. That is their cost, Ameren's cost to move that pole. It's customary for them to charge people that want stuff moved. It will only get more expensive. I know we did deny the last set of bids, but Jeff and I are still continuing to work, trying to see if there's a way we can kind of be the general contractor, so to speak, and get that project still done the same way, but at a much economical cost.
And we budgeted, projected budget $500,000 for that project,
Yes.
which means it needs to come down about 40% from what we, current figures we
Last bid, yeah.
make it go. Okay.
yeah, that was one of our objectives that we put together, that we wanted to have that,
Still,
that particular fire station upgraded so that we have better coverage out in that area. One of the steps that we need to take to get there. And you're right, we don't have a price that we're happy with. And so we're going to have to try to address that. So anyway,
So on the CDR, it shows an amount budgeted of 750,000.
that was what we had in last year's budget,
Current budget.
current budget year, and this year we have 500,000 in next year's budget. So we did spend some money on engineering this year. So
And some of that,
this expenditure maybe.
in some of the expenses that we had kind of planned for this, was moving the pole included in that.
It was not, we always knew it was going to be a separate charge. We just didn't know what it was going to be. So from Ameren, they couldn't really give us a price until they could decide where they would move the pole.
Right. Now, the concrete work we thought was in the bid was pretty valid. Is that correct? We thought that was based on current market value trends.
Yes.
Is there any thought to maybe having that pole moved and doing the electrical work and then holding off on the construction of the building until?
We've talked about different scenarios, Jeff and I.
It's gonna go up.
Yeah,
Just like
concrete's gonna
everything
go
else,
up
it's gonna
every
go up the
year.
same line. So if the concrete work was we thought was in line with what we projected, might be a thought to.
Yeah,
get
we've
that
actually,
portion done.
Jeff and I have talked a little bit about that, doing maybe the concrete in the back and getting the footings done for the building. And then maybe the concrete out front at a later date or whatever. So, it really, like I said, we are talking to another contractor. We met with a contractor this morning that we gave him a copy of the plans to look at to see, what kind of a price he would give.
So how does this tie in? I know at the planning meeting, our number one priority was on the fire station situation, I thought, was locating fire stations in the expanding areas, like where we're expanding out east of town and relocating. How does this tie into that? I mean, are we getting the cart before the horse?
This
down this road?
station will always be there.
Yeah.
It will not relocate.
I understand that, but does what you're using out of that station change with what you're projecting on?
Yes, I could put an ambulance out there. That's the goal, to get the additional bay to get an ambulance on that side of the tracks as well.
That's probably the biggest thing.
So the ambulance is kind of independent of a drive-through, right? Or a pull-through?
Yeah.
So you really,
Well,
I don't say that, I don't want to say that's a luxury. I'm just saying, do we need to, at this point?
That's a one truck bay station. I can't put the engine that is there and that will remain there and an ambulance in that building.
I get that, but if you put an ambulance, if you put a bay on the side, if that's the number one goal, and you spend the money on construction there, you're not going to need a drive-through. You're not going to need to move the pole.
I think part of the issue though is that that station was built in the late 60s and the fire trucks, the engines are outgrowing that building.
Bigger. Yeah. Yeah, we need a longer bay.
Yeah.
And then also, it also helps alleviate the backing up off of
Marshall Avenue.
Marshall Avenue, which is a very highly traveled road, which I don't care if they got lights on or not. They
Sometimes I wonder if that makes it worse. Honestly.
they still try to go around and, yeah.
And the 750,000 current budget, is that in the capital improvement budget? Where's that at?
Capital Improvement Fund, yep.
And is there anything in the capital improvements that has to do with the water situation that would require some of that fund?
I don't think there's anything in the capital fund.
That we're shorting ourselves in, I guess is what I'm saying.
Trying to think, most of it's through the water fund, but there may be, I can't think of a particular project that.
The capital projects fund is fed by the 50% sales tax.
Yeah,
It's designated for
infrastructure.
infrastructure. I mean, this 25,000 would be paid from capital projects, right? Yes.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Did everybody get those answered?
What is, this may not have any, I mean, it does, may not matter. What do you think that like this year we'll be able to get like the bid estimates that you are hoping for to be able to do the project?
With the conversations that we have today, when the contractor asked what the cost, the bids previously were, and what they broke down to at $500 a square, foot, he was like, yeah, I'll beat that easily. So I don't know what. I know costs are going up and they're going to continue to go up. I can't help but wonder if these contractors think just because we're a municipality that we'll pay it, regardless of what they throw out there. And
as bad as I want and need this project to go through, that's not a good use of taxpayer money at $500 a square foot. But, and I couldn't consciously try to push that, you know, in talks today, he's gonna be paying prevailing wage, using union, you know, laborers to do, everything is ethical and transparent and on the up and up. Well, I'll be very interested to see what his bid comes in at.
He still needs to look through all the specs and stuff, but I mean, he just thought that seemed high. There will be another round of grants possibility for fire stations that we will apply for again as well. If we don't get something down lower before that comes up.
Unfortunately, those grants, they're
Getting harder.
volunteer departments. So
So currently, Jeff, if you have a medical emergency on the west side, I assume that pumper rolls
correct.
and then the ambulance still comes from downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no ambulance.
There is no ambulance on that side of the track.
But the big thing, 30 years ago, they were going to build an overpass for that reason. Obviously, it didn't get done. But there's got to be situations where going across 21st Street, the ambulance can't get there, right?
Oh, they went down Old State, coming on 33rd.
They go that far.
They've tried to race them
Yeah,
down
all the way
Western
down to
to get
Paradise.
across. It's a delayed response for the
Right.
ambulance.
So if we can get all this project tied together, the cost on the addition, it will be potentially a life saving by having that ambulance there instead of going to Old State and ordering back.
It won't be, well, it could be you. If you live on that side of the track.
Been talking to my wife. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
So we
Stay
took
on target.
some things out of budget, correct? That we were using for savings for this.
Took some things that were savings for
Like
this.
we were kind of saving towards knowing that this project was coming up. There were some things that was kind of set back. We had
Yeah.
400 and some $1,000, correct?
Yeah.
Set back.
500.
So now we don't have that to help offset.
So we have the,
400, but not additional.
we had 750,000 in the last year's budget. I think we'd put in $400,000 previously into capital funds from some surplus going towards that. We were thinking we were going to get a grant for 350, which we did not receive. Then I think last year's budget, we had that 400,000 already in the capital. I think we added another 350. So there's 750 that has been added to the capital project fund.
But we're not
over the
adding any for next fiscal year.
years. No.
Okay.
All right. Ready for roll call? Roll call.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2026-2670, approving the water and sewer billing adjustment in the amount of $1,297.41 on behalf of Martha Waggle, located at 704 North Second Division Street due to a leak.
Can I have a second to that motion?
Second, Mayor.
Commissioner Phipps? And just
Anything-
normal,
Right, the ordinance provides that if a customer has a leak, they can have a billing adjustment.
okay, and we've done
The
that.
original bill was almost $2,400.
All right, roll call?
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2026-2671, approving the plans and specifications for the 2026 annual sidewalk improvement project on 21st Street from Prairie Avenue to Shelby Avenue and authorizing the solicitation of bids.
And second to that motion,
Second.
Commissioner Butler and
Okay, you want to talk about that one?
It's our, kind of our annual sidewalk program. It's basically there along 21st Street. It says there from Prairie to Shelby, a lot of upgrading the handicap ramps and some of the sidewalk that's cracked and heaved and settled and everything.
that's 3 blocks, right?
Basically 3 blocks.
And is it on both sides? of 21st.
Yeah, there is some on both sides. This also, and when you go back to ADA, it affects a lot of the driveways and stuff like that, or concrete or asphalt. So you gotta also do something on those to make it work.
Any other questions anybody has? Roll call.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2026-2672, approving the plans and specifications to perform concrete patching on Fort Worth Way from Swords Drive East to the new section on Fort Worth Way and authorizing the solicitation of bids.
That's kind of hard to say. Isn't it?
That is hard to say.
Okay, so can we have a second on that motion?
Second, Mayor.
Commissioner Phipps, and anybody have any comments on that?
I'll just say that, this is the original section of the Fort Worth Way. If you go out there, there are several of the concrete panels that are cracked, and we're patching, and with all the traffic we're getting there and with additional traffic that'll probably be coming here yet this year, wanted to try to get in there and get those areas patched, and get everything running good and smooth out there.
Good. All right.
Not have to do it when you get even more traffic.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion approved. Council decision request 2026-2673, waiving the formal bidding requirement and approving the proposal from Hart Technologies in the amount of $54,849.49 for the replacement and upgrade of the door access control system at City Hall and the Mattoon Police Department, and authorizing the IT director to sign the proposal.
Okay, and second to that motion,
Second.
Commissioner Cox. And why are we doing this?
Elton, you want to address that one?
Yeah, so all of the doors here at City Hall and the police department, including booking actually, which has these ancient heavy-duty doors, are controlled by just a random computer. I mean, the dispatch building, the police department, isn't really the best of solutions. It's very niche. Support is kind of difficult to come by. And the general idea is to replace our access control system with something that is much more redundant and upgraded. So we can potentially expand in the future if there's ones. And just to make sure the doors work, really, that is the biggest thing. Everything down to the door schedules here at City Hall are ran by this one computer that the police department are running on a couple sessions.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call.
Excuse me. Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes.
Motion to approve council decision request 2026-2674, approving the plans and specifications of the 2026 oil well field contract and authorizing the solicitation for bids of the 2026 MFT General Street Maintenance Program.
And a second to that motion,
Second, Mayor.
Commissioner Clausen. Anybody have?
Yes, sir.
This is just a normal yearly program. It's a little bit less than what we've done the last couple of years, but just trying to stay within the budgets that we have. So, but most of this will be kind of on the south side of town. Trying to finish up all that, get back the water and all done.
Okay. All right, roll call.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Cox,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Mayor Hall.
Yes. Comments by the council. Start with Commissioner Butler.
I just had one question. As we talked today, knowing that the septic's dump into both lakes, what is the plan? Who's gonna execute that plan? And
So Dave has already been talking to like Gloria with the Coles County Health Department to go out and look around Lake Paradise, of course, Lake Mattoon and the very far north of Lake Mattoon. But then, of course, the rest of Lake Mattoon is Shelby County and Cumberland County. So we'll reach out to them as well, trying to figure out.
yeah, I guess that was my bigger question, like when will that happen, knowing that this is our water supply?
what the plan is right now, we've been selecting addresses and contact information from everybody that lives out at Lake Paradise. We plan to send them out a letter so that they'll get that, having a meeting with everybody that lives out there. A lot of them don't even realize that there are some, what do I want to say? No, one word there. Covenants for all the people that live out there. And we just want to go over what those are. We're going to provide them some other information. We're going to talk to them about the septic type of thing. With the health department, she has agreed that she would help with the testing of that. We would probably just start picking a few random ones here and there and eventually test them all.
So then will we reach out to Shelby and Cumberland Health Departments as well?
Yeah, that would be part of Lake Mattoon. We're going to try to tackle Lake Paradise first and get that one out of the way, so.
Good.
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Phipps,
I have nothing, Mayor.
Commissioner Cox,
Nothing further. Thank you.
Commissioner Clausen.
Couple things. Everybody hold,
I'm
wait
shocked.
for comments and look. Just
Can we
Peter,
adjourn the meeting first?
I'll make that motion.
Sad that he knows that.
Peterson Park, they've ripped out those old concrete posts on that west entrance. And they're putting some new concrete on the west entrance all the way to Broadway, I understand. And then there's been improvements at the pickleball courts, which pickleball courts are getting ready to go. They've got 3 morning leagues and 2 night leagues. So that whole area has really got a fresh look to it. And I think it's going to be perfect with all the, Bagel Fest getting here quickly and of course Liveworks. So I don't know if you got any more on that, Mindy, or not, but looks good.
The porch on the Peterson house is also being updated currently.
Porch.
And with the new entrance on Broadway, there'll be two new lights that match. I think they match the lights in the depot parking lot. We had 5 extra ones or 5 that we had relocated up, taken down. And so we're utilizing those in the park.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, do you have more?
No.
I shouldn't ask that question.
Wish people wouldn't hold us up and ready to adjourn.
Yeah, I'm sorry I asked that. I don't have anything. We get a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Commissioner Cox, and can we get a second to that?
Second, Mayor.
Commissioner Clausen, and roll call.
Mr. Clausen.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Phipps.
Yes.
Mr. Butler.
Oh.
Wow.
Mayor Hall.
Yes,
Good meeting.
meeting adjourned.
Oh, you don't need to-
I told him not to wait up.